The benefits for Israel are many. The Islamic Republic of Iran had been Israel's main enemy since it was established in the 1979 revolution. And Netanyahu had been trying to drag the US into a war with Iran for decades by claiming year after year that Iran was 5 minutes away from developing a nuclear bomb.
They're very close. They're 6 months away, weeks away, very quickly. Time is running out.
So taking out their main adversary, an adversary that has proxies fighting Israeli and US interests all over the region, was already obviously strategically beneficial for them. But the domestic political aspects can't be ignored either. Netanyahu had barely been able to form a government coalition after the last elections in 2022. Bibi's popularity has been stuck in the 40s since October 7th, and now the genocide in Gaza is transitioning into a new phase, which is the occupation of the territory under Trump's peace plan. So starting a new large-scale war on one hand delays his government coalition likely losing its majority in a new election, and on the other hand, the last time they bombed Iran, last year in what was called the 12-Day War, his favorability went up, just not above 50%. But it goes further than that, because bombing Iran immediately triggered a response from Iranian allies like Hezbollah, who fired a bunch of rockets at Israel, which means they get to escalate against Hezbollah. And I say escalate here because they had already been regularly bombing southern Lebanon for a while, but now they've told all civilians south of this line, the Litani River in Lebanon, to evacuate ahead of a major Israeli offensive. And if you've been paying attention to Gaza since October 7th, this will remind you of when they told all civilians in Gaza north of this line that they had to head south, and of course, it didn't stop there. And while the media is mostly covering the bombings in Iran, the death toll from Israel's operations in Lebanon is almost as high. Meanwhile, the Knesset, Israel's parliament, voted to annex the West Bank, and while that vote is symbolic and non-binding, Israeli settlers have been increasingly aggressive in recent months, and rhetoric coming from the government make it clear this is a real possibility. So the chaos of the war in Iran is giving Israel the cover to potentially take new territory in Lebanon, in the West Bank, while an international coalition is implementing a peace deal, giving Israel oversight over an indefinite occupation of Gaza. And there's only a short path between that and resettling Gaza with Israeli civilians, which members of Netanyahu's cabinet have been openly calling for. And tensions have also been escalating with Syria, which is still rebuilding after decades of civil war, which may give Israel an opportunity to gain some territory there as well. In other words, Netanyahu is taking advantage of the war in Iran to redraw the map of the Middle East in a pretty significant way.